Hello and welcome to Kickoff with Casey. My name's Casey Patrick. We're going to talk a little bit of college football. We're going to get into last week's matchups. We're also going to talk about what we got coming up this week. But real quick, of course, you guys know we're going to talk a little bit of Tennessee football just to get us started. And then we're going to talk about Oklahoma, Michigan. Oklahoma handled Michigan. I didn't like how Michigan handled their freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood. And Florida falling to South Florida. All that and a little bit more. Y'all stay right with us. Just real quick, we are going to talk Tennessee. I've told you guys I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm not going to try and make it too much about Tennessee, but I thought they played well. I know ETSU, you got to talk about the opponent. I know it's a different level of an opponent. The Buccaneers, good program. Will Healy out of Austin Peay and a few other places. He's a great coach. East Tennessee State's obviously not the type of opponent that Tennessee's going to go up against this week. But, and this is something that I thought about all Saturday after watching the game Tennessee played, I felt like Tennessee's playing really, really well, even against the lesser talented teams. And I know what all you guys are saying back there. You know, it's TTSU. No, I get it. But they're executing. They're doing the little things correctly, which has been difficult for the last few years, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think Joey Aguilar is Hendon Hooker, but he's the closest thing to since Hendon Hooker. Joe Milton is one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks I've ever seen in my entire life. He had a hard time running the offense. Nico Iamaleava is also very physically talented quarterback, but he couldn't run the offense either. We all saw that last year. I'm not sure if Nico can run any offense. Not my problem. I don't care anymore. But Tennessee is doing the little things right. The running backs look good. The offensive linemen, for the most part, getting their assignments correctly, blocking guys, pushing guys up the field. The defense is not as good as it was last year, but I think everybody kind of expected that. They gave up 17 points to ETSU. One of those was after a fumble on the 5-yard line, so the Bucs had to go 5 yards. I think it was like 2 minutes ago in the first half. And then the other touchdown was late in the second half. There were more than a few backups on the field. Again, that doesn't mean anything. Tennessee still gave up the points. But this week coming up, the Vols are going to be tested. Georgia's coming to town. Now, the fun thing about this matchup is I think Georgia's 3.5-point favorites, and Vegas usually gives the home team 3 points just for being at home. But you, me, and everybody else knows Neyland's worth a little bit more than 3 points. Now, that's just not me talking. That's basically any other human being that's ever played football in that building. They went in there, they played in Neyland, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun. So I think the fans, all 100, it used to be 102,455, and now I think it's 101,915. All 101,000 people are going to need to be loud because I do believe that the Vols need Neyland to beat Georgia. Straight up, I think Georgia's a better football team. And also, I think they're probably a little bit more confident. I think they've had more recent success. I don't think that. I know that. Everybody knows that. But I think Georgia's got a little bit more confidence about them right now. Tennessee, the first 2 weeks has looked great. I'm sure those guys are playing with a lot of confidence. But there's something that comes with being a national championship winning program, and the Bulldogs have been a lot more recently than the Vols. And so I think that all plays into it a little bit. Tennessee's got an opportunity, though, this weekend to put the winning streak to an end. I think Georgia's won 8 in a row. The record in the rivalry is 9 in a row for Tennessee over Georgia. That was quite a few years ago, but either way, still a record. And I would like to keep it that way. So Tennessee's going to have to play really, really well on Saturday. They're going to have to do the little things correctly. Again, they're going to have to keep doing the little things correctly because you're going to lose one-on-one matchups. Georgia's obviously very good. They recruit in the top 5 every year. When I say very good, I don't just mean fundamentally wise, I mean physically gifted wise. They're big, fast, and strong. So you're going to lose some one-on-one matchups. There are going to be a few times when you do everything right as a football player, as a Tennessee Vol, and you still get the short end of the stick because Georgia's just good. You got to tip your cap sometimes. That's okay. But in order to beat a great team like that, you're just going to have to be really good, and you have to do all the little things right. Tennessee's been doing a lot of the little things right, so as long as they continue that, again, they're at home in Neyland, which I think is worth more than 3 points. I think the 3.5 point spread is pretty close by Vegas. That's kind of where I would put them. I think I think Georgia should be favored, and it's about close. Now, on to the bad news about this game. My brother, who, God bless him, has decided that he and his wife, they'd like to have some kids. And luckily for them, and I'm happy for them, and they are blessed, they've announced they're going to have twins. And I think it's the coolest thing in the world. However, they've decided to do a gender reveal this Saturday at 1 p.m. And that's okay. I'm going to have a lot of fun at that. The only problem is I got to make sure we've got a TV somewhere. I got my phone hooked up to the charging cable because I know I'm going to be running it dead with tweets. But got a lot going on this Saturday, not just some football. I'm going to be having some fun over at my little brother Noah's house for a gender reveal. So y'all just keep him in mind. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. But on to the next game. Oklahoma, they beat Michigan. Now, for some reason, Michigan has been the main point for me when you talk about this game. I didn't like how they used Bryce Underwood. The whole first half, I mean, you got a quarterback that Dave Portnoy paid $7 million for. I think the total payment is close to $10 million. You got a $10 million quarterback, and you just ran the ball the entire time. Now, I know Bryce Underwood's stats at the end. I think he was 9 of 24. Not very good. I get that. But at the end, when they were down 2 possessions and had to start throwing the ball, that's when he got a lot of his incompletions. I think if you're going to pay a guy $10 million and he's allowed to throw the ball, I think he should throw the ball in the first quarter or in the first half more than he did against Oklahoma. And now Oklahoma's quarterback, John Mateer, let's be honest, probably should have started off with him. John Mateer's been great. Kid looks really, really good. He's a solid-looking football player. And there was one tweet that I saw. Somebody said, of course, a Tennessee fan, they said it gave him PTSD of watching Baker Mayfield run around. And I thought, well, Mateer's legs are a little bit better, and he does not have the arm that Baker Mayfield had. But I thought, Mateer's got to be a little bit taller than Mayfield. And I went and looked it up. They're both 6'1". So I could see how you would get mistaked one for the other. Mateer probably won't. He might win a Heisman. He probably won't win a Heisman, but he is a good football player. I think he's much better there. He's definitely an upgrade over what they had last year. So props to him. I mean, and I wrote this down right here. And Mateer is a beast. Mayfield tweet, both 6'1". I wrote all that stuff down, but Mateer, he's a beast. He really is. And I love the designed runs. I mean, he just takes it and he's just straight quarterback power, just right behind right tackle. I love it. That's good stuff. You got an athlete like that back there, you need to use him like an athlete. And with, of course, Oklahoma with Coach Brent Venables, he's a defensive guy. If they can get the offense going, I think the Oklahoma defense is going to be good. Oklahoma doesn't necessarily look like a top 5 team to me, but they definitely look like a team that if they continue to get better throughout the year, they've got all the pieces in place where maybe they could find their way into the playoff. And I'm not really going out on a limb here. I mean, they're already ranked 15th in the country, or they were 18th last week. So when you think about that, you think about the fact that they're already ranked. They're playing well. They've got a big win over another ranked team. Michigan just won a national championship a few years ago. Oklahoma's going to really push for a playoff spot. And if that's a team that continues to get better, they could be hard to beat. They are right now. They're hard to beat right now, but they're going to get, I think, a possibility to get a lot harder to beat down the road. Now, we're going to get a little bit more into this Florida USF game. Again, going to start with Florida. I don't know why I start with the negative part. Maybe I thought it was funny and I wrote it down. Negative. The players are great, but Billy Napier is not. I could have wrote a little bit more. I could have been a little bit meaner. I'm afraid that Florida fans would think I'm attacking Billy Napier, and I don't mean to do that. I'll let y'all do it. I know you can't stand him. My older brother is a Florida fan. One of my best friends is a Florida fan. I know a lot of Florida fans, and I don't know any of them that like Billy Napier. I'm in a fantasy football group chat with a bunch of guys. I don't even have their numbers saved. I don't know who they are. But every Saturday and Sunday, they like to get in there and talk a little bit of football, which I'm down with, and I'll sit there and listen to them. And I know there are a few others like Nate Dixon and Deontay Marsh. I know a few others in the group chat, but there's a lot of guys I don't know. And for instance, there is at least one guy that I know is a Florida Gators fan, and he was not happy with Billy Napier either. And I don't know why anybody would be. He recruits great. He brings in, like I said, players are great. That's never going to be the problem. I think you could get somebody sleepwalking as a head coach, and they're going to be able to recruit to Gainesville. But the problem is Billy Napier the play calling is atrocious. You have DJ Lagway, who, again, we talk about physical talent a lot. He is one of the more physically talented players, especially in the SEC, in the country. What are they doing? What are they doing? It's Napier, and here's the other issue too. Napier not only wants to routinely make bad calls and hold back his offense, but I saw a little article today. He's not going to give up play calling. He won't even think about it. Ego's a bad thing. Billy Napier's not going to watch this show. I know he's not going to see this. But maybe some aggravated Florida fan on Twitter will see it and think I'm talking trash to him. You know Billy Napier sucks. I know he's not good either. Okay? Go ahead. I think Florida needs to get the wheels turning. I want the Florida Gators to sign him to a lifetime contract. Give him the Rick Barnes contract. I'm down. But I don't think Florida wants to do that anymore, or never did anyway. But if you're going to start looking at somebody new, a popular name that's popped up is the guy that beat y'all last Saturday, Alex Golesh. Now, I saw a few more tweets when it came to Alex Golesh and potentially taking another job. One of the things that came up, it was obviously a Bulls fan, a South Florida Bulls fan, and he was saying all the right things about Tampa and why Coach Golesh would want to stay. The problem is it's still South Florida. Nothing against them, but comparatively, I mean, let's say DeBoer has a few more games like he had in Week 1 inning, right, against Florida State. Let's say we have a few more of those out of Alabama. He's out. Where do they go? Florida, I think, is going to start looking for a coach at some point. What do? Golesh's name is going to pop up. There's going to be an opening somewhere. He is going to start thinking, I personally believe he's going to start thinking moving towards Power 4. And maybe he can take South Florida with him. I think he really does love South Florida. But if the Florida Gators come calling, how do you argue with that? If the Alabama Crimson Tide come calling you and you're coaching a team that's in the American Conference, how do you ignore that call? And so, South Florida fans, I hate it. I'd love to keep him there. I don't want Alex Golesh as another head coach in the SEC. As far as I'm concerned, he can go coach in the Canadian League. I'll watch him from down here. I love Alex Golesh. I think he's a great coach. I don't want to have to play against him. But those other teams, they are going to come calling. Now, I'd love it if he can just, like the video game, the CFB video game, just do some custom conferences. Just take South Florida, switch them with Wake Forest or anybody else out of the ACC, flip them around, and there you go. Voila. We're all done. But we're going to take us a little commercial break real quick. Y'all make sure and don't go anywhere. We'll be right here. And when we get back, we're going to talk about last week's top 25 and the results there. And then we're going to talk about next week. So don't go anywhere.
He shoots, and he scores! Yeah!
closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
All right, welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. We're going to get into the top 25 real quick from last week. We're not going to talk about the new top 25, but just to give you an idea, just a quick rundown. Ohio State 70-0 over Grambling State. Funny story, I've got a few friends that are they're not necessarily sports nerds, but they like to keep up with sports when they get an opportunity. And my buddy, he was at a NASCAR race, I believe, with some friends of his, or at least they were watching a race. And somebody texted him and said that Ohio State had beaten Georgia 70-0. And so I had to explain to them that the G for Grambling State is different than the G for Georgia. But on to number 2, Penn State 34-0 over FIU. This is 2 weeks in a row now where Penn State is not scoring as many points as I think they should. Maybe FIU's not that bad. I don't want to judge too hard. Plus, I don't like Penn State, so if they're not good, I'm happy. LSU 23-7 over Louisiana Tech. Again, kind of the same thing with FIU and Penn State there. Maybe Louisiana Tech's a little bit better than I give them credit for, but you expect the number 3 team in the country to do a little bit better than 23-7 against Louisiana Tech. Number 4, same game, different teams. Georgia 28-6 over Austin Peay. Let's go P. I love it. I just wish Austin Peay would have had like 30 more points. Actually, now that I think about it, I'd rather Georgia not be that mad coming into this game. So, either way, Austin Peay, I thought y'all had a great performance. Good job. Will Healy again out there. Will Healy, I knew that name was in my head all week long. Will Healy, he left a good foundation at Austin Peay. That definitely helped those guys last Saturday. On to number 5, Miami 45-3 over Bethune. Is that Bethune-Cookman, Bethune A&M? I don't know. You don't know either. Not really sure. Miami does what they should against a smaller school. Number 6, Oregon 69-3 over Oklahoma State. I'm a man. I'm 40. You're 40 points down, Mike Gundy. Maybe figure something out. If I'm Oklahoma State, I'm looking at getting that guy out. I'm done with the mullet. I'm done with the offense. 3 points is not good enough. I get that Oregon's good. Number 6 team in the country. Dan Lanning's a great coach. I think the Ducks are really, really strong. There's no excuse for a team like Oklahoma State with as much tradition as they have to lose that game 69-3. Ridiculous. Shouldn't be happening. Texas takes down San Jose State 38-7. I was really rooting for San Jose State in that one, but I think we all kind of knew where that game was going. Now here's another one. Clemson, they defeated Troy 27-6. Troy was up like 16-0, I think, at that game. I was busy at, I think, the Creekwood-Dixon game on Saturday, and I had some friends up in the stands, and they would send me text messages because I had my phone out keeping stats and trying to tweet out scores and stuff for the game I was covering. And so my friends would text me, updates because I couldn't go to ESPN or nothing like that. And I know for a fact I was not the only person there in Charlotte on Saturday evening rooting for Troy to get the upset over Clemson. But the Tigers were able to come back roaring. And here's a fun one. Clemson. They were number 9 last week. I don't know if they moved up or not. They got a bye. Notre Dame's 0-1. They haven't won a game yet, and they're still in the top 10 as of last week. I don't know what the new rating is. I don't even want to look. I don't even look for it because it fits my agenda. I want to complain about Notre Dame. They were number 9 last week. They're 0-1. They still haven't won a game. And I don't know if they will this week. I mean, you got a team like Iowa State. They've already played 3 games. They're 3-0. Notre Dame's played once. They lost it. They got Texas A&M coming up. That's one of the biggest matchups of the week this Saturday. Notre Dame might be 0-2. And AP's going to put them 10th. Whatever. So on to number 10, actually. South Carolina defeated South Carolina State 38-10. I want to say that game was like 7-7 late in the first quarter. I wasn't really praying yet, but I was really hoping South Carolina State could hold on. But South Carolina pulls away. Lenore Sellers, I'm a big fan. He's got a lot of talent. That defense is legit, I think. They might be a little bit overrated at number 10 in the country, but I just want to pump the brakes a little bit. I don't know if they're that strong, but I do think South Carolina is really good. Now, on to number 11, Illinois. They got a win 45-19 over Duke. I don't know enough about Duke to really complain, but they really failed. When of course, they lost Riley Leonard after 2 years ago. He went to Notre Dame last season. But that season with Riley Leonard 2 years ago, they were really strong. I wouldn't mind seeing the Blue Devils kind of make their way back. Now, the first really big upset of the week, Arizona State falling 24-20 to Mississippi State. The Cowbells were loud. Good job down there in Stark Vegas. I loved it. Now, I like Arizona State. I'm a Kenny Dillingham fan. For me, that was really, it's not a win-win, but it's not a lose-lose either. I couldn't really care less who won that game, but it was a really fun game to watch. Blake Shapen's a pretty good quarterback, and Levitt's a pretty good quarterback for Arizona State too. Now, one thing that happened after that game is I realized Kenny Dillingham had made a comment about he was talking to the local media, and he said something about don't be mad if you go 5-7 or 6-6, and a lot of people took that comment and ran with it as if he was saying that he knew his team wasn't that good. And that's not true. Go back and watch the whole video. That was taken out of context. What he said was, you got to look at your guys and tell them, if you're not ready to come out here and work, then you better be okay with being 5-7 or 6-6. So let's stop taking people out of context. I know we like the clicks on the internet. That's what pays everybody, but it's nonsense. Move on to the next game. And we got to get through this quick because I'm running out of time. Where even was it? Oh, there we go. Number 13, Florida. Of course, we talked about them losing 16-13 to USF. Florida State 77-3 over East Texas A&M. That's what should have happened. I want to go back and watch those highlights just because I'm a Gus Malzahn fan, and I like Tommy Castellano. I want to go see what they look like. I didn't get to see it though. When you look at 77-3, you don't need to watch those highlights unless you're a Florida State fan. I mean, but you don't need to see what happened in that game. You can tell. On to the next game. We talked about Michigan losing to Oklahoma. Number 16, Iowa State defeated Iowa 16-13. Sounds like a lot of fun. Glad I didn't watch that game. Number 17, SMU lost in double overtime 48-45 to Baylor. Now that actually does sound like a lot of fun, and I may have to go back and watch the highlights of that game too, because I don't know near enough about SMU or Baylor to talk too much trash right now. Number 18, Oklahoma getting the win over Michigan. We talked about it. Number 19, Texas A&M giving up quite a few points to Utah State. They gave up 22 points. They beat them 44-22. But I think Texas A&M was like 38-point favorites in that game. So just a little bit surprising. I wouldn't say concerning because, again, I didn't get to watch much of that game either. I did watch a little bit of it. I didn't get to watch much of it. So I don't know if it's defense or maybe Utah State got a few scores there at the end. You could say the same about Tennessee giving up 17 to ETSU. But, one was from 5 yards out, one's with 5 minutes to go. There's a little bit of context to everything. Neither here nor there. Number 20, Ole Miss beats Kentucky 30-23. The funny thing about that is, yes, Ole Miss should win that game by more. They don't. For whatever reason, Kentucky plays Ole Miss and Florida extremely hard every year. No matter how good or bad any team is. Ole Miss could be the best team in the country. They're going to play Kentucky, and it's going to be a one-possession game, and that's what it was. Moving on to Alabama, I was wrong. I may not be completely wrong. I thought the wheels were going to come off. I did say a little prayer. I wanted UL Monroe to win that game. They weren't able to pull it out. They lost 73-0. We talked about Tennessee beating ETSU 72-17. Indiana defeated Kennesaw State 56-9. Texas Tech defeated Kent State 62-14, and Utah took down Cal Poly 63-9. I thought Cal Poly was just an internet school. Either way, we're going to go to our last break. When y'all get back, we're going to talk about next week's matchup. Don't go anywhere.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
He shoots, and he scores!
Just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
All right, welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. Just a few things real quick, and then we'll let you guys go. But real quick, Friday, we do have a Friday matchup. Indiana and Kurt Signetti is going to take on the Fighting Larry Birds and Indiana State. I don't know anything about the Sycamores from Indiana State, but maybe it's a rivalry game. Maybe Indiana State has a little something to say. I think for the folks, I'm going to be on a high school football field, but I think for the folks that watch that game, you might get lucky if there is a game to watch, but I hope you get it. On Saturday, here are the big matchups. We've got 3 ranked matchups. Of course, I talked a little bit about Georgia at Tennessee. We also have South Florida at Miami and Texas A&M at Notre Dame. So 3 huge ranked matchups. I'm going to try and watch as much of those games as I can. I am going to watch every second of the Georgia-Tennessee game unless Jesus comes back and gets me first. I'm going to watch every second of that game. We've got some other intriguing matchups. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. I'm going to tell you why this is intriguing. I'm not as high on Vanderbilt as everybody else. Is that hate? Maybe. I might be biased. Maybe I just don't like them. That's fine. I'll admit that. But I am higher on South Carolina than some people. But South Carolina's only 5.5-point favorites at home. And I told you earlier, you get 3 for being at home. So Vegas has South Carolina at a field goal better than Vanderbilt. How is Vanderbilt not ranked if that's the point? That's crazy to me. But either way, I think, those games could be close. You've got an opportunity, you got a chance, it could be close. I think South Carolina could destroy the Commodores. And I'm not really rooting for that because I don't like South Carolina either. In fact, I don't care if South Carolina lost. It wouldn't bother me if Vanderbilt won. I just think South Carolina's going to demolish Vanderbilt. The last intriguing matchup I have is Florida at LSU. LSU 8.5-point favorites at home. Should that not be more? I don't know. We are out of time here today, though. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. And right before we go, we got one more thing. I want to do my lock of the week. Now, last week, I didn't get to get around to this. But this week, last week, I will tell you, I would have taken South Florida. I think Florida was 13.5-point favorites over South Florida. I would have taken South Florida to win that game. It's easy to say now. I definitely would have taken them to cover the spread. But I'm going to take them again. Miami, when I just looked a few minutes ago, Miami 17.5-point favorites. Carson Beck looked great. I think the Hurricanes are good. But South Florida's not that bad. And let me tell you something else. The Bulls, they believe in themselves. So does Alex Golish. So that might be a game to watch. That's my lock of the week. Give me South Florida in the points. 17.5, that's a lot. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for hanging out with me. I think I'm right in under the time I had to have. So make sure y'all get some college football in this Saturday. Let me know. Come on back next week and bark at me and argue with me about how I was wrong or maybe how I was right. Either way, y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see y'all later.